What's good, you guys? Daniel Cruz here, back with another episode of Cook with Cruz. Today I'm going to be breaking down another beat upon request. I also want to break this one down because it's one of my favorite beats I've made. It's called Take You, Streets Cry, if you've heard it on my channel already. This beat is also going to showcase how I really approach samples and break them down and structure and arrange them, because that's mostly what I did for this beat. Shout out to Dylan Graham for the sample, by the way. I heard it and just instantly came up with some ideas for it. Before we jump into the beat here, please leave a thumbs up on the video. I would really appreciate it. Make sure you're subscribed, of course, because I'll be back another Sunday to break down another beat. As always, leave comments for me which beats you want to see me break down next. I still got a few more I gotta knock out, so keep leaving me comments on what you want to see broken down. Otherwise, let's jump in and see how Take You, Streets Cry, the beat was made. Alright, so what started the beat off here was the sample. I thought it was super dope. Gave me a bunch of ideas to work with. I'm going to go ahead and play the raw consolidated version for you right here. Kind of a long sample, actually. I'll kind of jump around so you guys can hear mostly what I was working with. So just hearing that right there, instantly had some ideas on what I wanted to do. I did have the stems to the sample here, so that gave me a lot of control to kind of arrange and structure everything how I wanted. So looking into the playlist here, this is probably one of the more complex looking playlists that I've ever done, as you can see, but I promise it's not that complicated. Again, I did mention I had the files. There was a lot of instruments going on in that consolidated version that I played for you. There's a lot of textures and ambient little things that happen in the background. Again, those are all tracked out. So if we pretty much take all this right here, this is pretty much the sample. Again, it's all tracked out. So if it was consolidated, we'd kind of look more like this, right? And these are a bunch of drums, which I'll go over. A couple other things I added, but I did have the files. Again, I mentioned I'm going to really showcase how I kind of broke down all the files and arranged it how I wanted. So I guess let's jump right in the intro and start from there. So this is the intro. We're going to work with a couple pianos, a little percussion he added pad, plucks, some textures here, a little transition, more background effects. I also pitched everything up, so the key's going to go higher. And I also sped everything up a little bit too. So for our intro and our sample now, this is what it's going to sound like. So that's what our intro is going to sound like, as you can hear, pitched up and sped up. And after that, we're just going to jump right into the verse. So let's start with the beginning of our verse here. I do thin some stuff out, just have one of the pianos, the plucks, the textures, which are going to sit in the background. And the vocal sample here that I think it says Take You, that was like a key instrument for me in this beat. I wanted that to play kind of throughout the beat. As you can see, I called it Take You Altar Boy, so when I made the beat, I put the vocal sample into the mixer and I put Altar Boy onto it to give it a different sound. Kind of changes the tone of it if you know what Altar Boy is. But Altar Boy adds a huge delay on FL and the keys when I play. So I rendered that into audio, which you can see right here, and deleted the plugin, so I don't have to worry about the delay anymore. Let me just go ahead and play the beginning part with what I just explained right now, just so it's not super overwhelming, because I know we have like a lot of instruments going on and it's not consolidated into one file. So let me run it back real quick. So that's how I'm structuring everything so far. It's nice and open for the verse. One thing I do add is this little beat pattern right here. This is just some kind of percussive instrument that I added a lot of reverb to. And I tuned it with the piano here, so we're gonna be in key. Next, I'm going to add one of the signature things that I do with pianos. If you've watched my other videos, I've done this for other beats. I'll play out the chords, render it to audio, put tremolator on it, reverse it. It makes a cool little effect. And as sophisticated as this may look or sound, there's actually only 3 chords going on in the piano and the beat. I'll go ahead and play the 3 chords for you right now so you can see what I'm talking about. So that's all there really is to the piano. Dylan just added some counter melodies and embellishing to make it sound how it is on the sample. So yeah, I just took those 3 chords, rendered to audio, and this is the effects chain I put onto it. So we got tremolator at the top here. That's the default preset. Some EQ, reverb, and pan man to give a nice stereo effect. So now this is what that piano is going to sound like. You can also see there that I cut certain parts out to kind of open it up a little bit more. So this section right here is going to act as the first 4 bars, and then the next 4 bars going into the arrangement and structuring stuff. I'm going to bring in the bass he had, some percussion. There's going to be like a piano interval run right here to act like a transition effect. More transition stuff. Again, this is just all broken down into files. So I'll play it back now so you can hear how I arranged everything and how it'll come in. So I'll go ahead and break down the drums into 2 different sections, which is, the first half and the second half of the verse. So in the first half, I got everything super open. We're just going to have this snap pattern here. This little percussion thing here that I added some reverb on. These are some rides like on a live drum set that I got coming in on the second half of the first half of the verse, if that made sense. Alright, now all together, this is what the beginning of our verse sounds like. So that completes the first half of the verse there. So now for the next part, I'm gonna add and take out a couple things here. Chord texture pattern from the main sample. Pad's gonna come in, pad textures comes out. this was all just how I felt because I had all the files of the sample. So it all depends on how you want to arrange everything and make everything sound together. The main thing that does change in this part is the drums. When I was making the beat, I wanted like some big kind of live sounding drums going on. So let me go ahead and start breaking down the full part of the drums for you. So here's going to be our main snare. Laid a couple snares together. This is going to be an open hat we're going to layer with our snares. Here's our kick drum. These are our snares again, but I'm going to use this pattern just for a break that I have, which I'll show you in a bit here. This is a tom roll, and I took the toms from the Abbey Road's drummer, the 60s drummer kit. So that's where I got the toms from. This is going to be a tom roll that's going to play with the break here. We have another open hat pattern that plays on every beat pretty much. This is going to be a crash fill for our break. Again, Abbey Road's drummer, 60s kit. Into the playlist now because I did use like a lot of live sampled drums. So this first clip here, this is going to be basically our hats. This small pattern right here is going to be one of our drum fills. Something really small, but it'll make a nice difference. This clip here, another drum fill. This right here is going to be like a live open hat. And again, we have another drum fill with this clip. As you can see, big live drums. There's a lot going on. That's just kind of how I felt they wanted the sound. And the break I was mentioning, it's going to happen like right here in the playlist. So let me just go ahead and solo out all the drums so you can hear what they all sound like together, because I know like some of the fills and breaks probably didn't make any sense. Let me play it back now so you can hear what it sounds like. So there goes our drums in full now. So now let's go ahead, run it back to the first part of the verse into this part. So now we can hear how everything is going to sound together. So there it goes right there. Everything is now playing together. Everything should probably make sense now. So after that, we're going to go into the hook. I don't add anything else to the beat. The only thing I guess I do add is a Vox lead pattern that was in the main sample. That's going to come in that wasn't previously playing. It's going to be this clip right here. And again, this whole top section is just our sample. So if you can kind of visually imagine this consolidated into one clip, that's what we're working with. But I had the files and did my own thing with the arranging and the structuring. As you can see, I'm taking stuff back in, like the main piano, and taking stuff out, like taking one of the clips out of here for the main Take You Vox sample. But for our hook, we're going to start simple. We're going to bring that beep snap in just like the beginning of the verse, and then for the second half of the hook we're going to come back in with our big full drums it's going to sound nice because when the big drums come in, it kind of plays with the roll that I showed you earlier. So it's going to sound pretty nice. So no real additions, just kind of chopping everything up, arranging, structuring. And then after that, it's just a rinse and repeat into the second verse. So let's go ahead and run it back so we can hear how it comes into the hook. So that right there pretty much wraps up how I made the beat, Take You, Streets Cry. Again, I know this looks super complicated, but again, I just tracked out everything from the sample. And I know I get asked about mixing as well, so if you didn't watch the previous episode from last Sunday, didn't do nothing crazy to the mix. It's all really just leveling. If we go into the mixer here, it's going to look complicated, I know, because of all the instrument files we had from the sample. You can see I got a couple not used. So basically these were instruments in the sample that I kind of experimented with but ended up taking out. But just doing a quick scroll through, you can see most of them are empty on the side here. It's really just leveling. Decapitator on the bass. Nothing crazy. So it's all really just leveling everything out so everything sounds good. But yeah, there it goes right there. That's the whole beat, how I made it, my thought process on everything. Hope you guys enjoyed today's breakdown and the beat. Let me know how you think the beat sounds in the comments below if you have not heard this one already. I'd really appreciate your feedback. Once again, as I mentioned, please leave a thumbs up on the video if you enjoyed today's breakdown. Make sure you're subscribed so you can get notified next Sunday when I drop another episode. Of course, keep leaving me comments on what you want to see broken down next. I've already got a list of other beats that I'm going to get to. Other than that, I appreciate you if you made it all the way to the end of this video. That is all for me today. I will see you guys next Sunday. I'm out. Peace.